It is thanks to this beautiful crossover that Land Rover updated its entire lineup to look almost exactly like it, for better and for worse. Hi guys, Eric here and welcome back to my channel. Today we will be having a look at this 2019 Range Rover Evoque Si4 HSE. It is equipped with a turbocharged 2-litre petrol engine that produces 213 kilowatts. It's rather quick, but is there any substance behind the beauty?
Personally, being a Range Rover purist, I wasn't too happy to hear about the development of the Evoque, especially considering that the Evoque will not only be the smallest Range Rover, but the smallest Land Rover too, being smaller than the then Freelander 2. Then I saw the Land Rover LRX concept car and my opinion immediately started to change. That design was like nothing on the market at the time. Sure, currently almost all Land Rovers look like the Evoque in some way or another, but back then it was hyper-modern and beautiful in a way only Land Rover can pull off. The LRX concept car was not only unveiled to show off Land Rover's design prowess, but also to show the world that they are serious about efficiency. It was a good move considering its Range Rovers consistently weigh in at well over 2 metric tons. Some new technologies included a hybrid power plant, biofuel compatibility, a start-stop engine, and regenerative braking. Being that it was a Range Rover, it had the critically praised terrain response system, four-wheel drive, and useful departure and approach angles. I fell in love with the design of the LRX back in 2008, so imagine my surprise when the production-ready Evoque showed its face in 2011. It looked almost identical to the concept cars of 3 years before. I thought only Audi did that. More often than not, concept cars differ greatly from the production-ready counterparts for safety and design regulations. Land Rover pulled it off though, and it looks beautiful. These thin headlights that melt into the textured Land Rover grille, the widened front and rear wheel arches that give it a rather aggressive look, massive wheels that fill said wheel arches perfectly, and the sloping roofline indicates that this car is of the premium, if small, for a Range Rover at least, variety. To me, it is like the new Mini, new Beetle, or Fiat 500 of the Range Rover family. Small, but demanding a high price for its design as well as execution. The rear looks suitably sporty, with thin rear light clusters as well as a roof spoiler. Look at this oversized rear bumper though, with the plastic cladding, and you're reminded of this car's off-road heritage, which is the overall theme of the Evoque. Hyper-modern and a proper fashion statement, but also rugged and in keeping with its Land Rover Range Rover family. The only two things that were sorely missing was a 6-cylinder power plant, with all petrol and diesel variants being 4-cylinder units. The other was a hybrid powertrain that was present in the LRX. Thankfully, all engines were strong enough to carry the weight of the Evoque, especially the 2-litre petrol variant we have here. 213 kilowatts and a monstrous 400 newton meters of torque, available from a low 1600 RPM. It is rather brisk.
Even though the exterior is almost identical to that of the LRX, the same can't be said about its interior. But, as I will show you, that isn't necessarily a bad thing. Open these beautifully finished doors, to which we will circle back to later, and you can immediately tell that this is a Land Rover product. Now that's a very, very good thing, because at the risk of my bias showing, I love the interior design language of the Land Rover Range Rover lineup. Now, being that this is the baby Range Rover, I was rather afraid that aesthetically it will be closer to the Discovery Sport than the Range Rover Sport, but those fears were unfounded. There is a definite sense of affluence in this car's design as well as execution. As soon as you find a comfortable driving position, which is really easy thanks to 8-way electrically adjustable seats, you find yourself sitting in a cocoon. A cocoon that is surrounded by Napa leather and soft imitation leather with top stitching found on the dash as well as on top of the doors. I really like the driving position of the Evoque. It feels as though you sit in it rather than on it. The center console is a mixture of beautifully textured plastics as well as soft pleather with contrast stitching, which is really pleasing to the touch. The upgraded infotainment screen fills the center console perfectly and adds to the sense of quality. The door panel is absolutely stunning. It is a perfect blend of quality, class, and utility. There are neat design touches everywhere. This panel that houses the door handle, which is made from solid metal, the lock-unlock switch, as well as the memory switches, look like a reclined business class airplane seat. Then there are these metal speaker covers for the optional Meridian sound system, a floating door armrest which is wrapped in Napa leather and firmly padded, as well as a rather large door pocket that is lined with rubber and has a wide opening. Lastly, I really like the weight of it, especially the way that it shuts. The only drawback I could find has to do with the amount of hard plastics found on the door, especially at this price point. But this is me really nitpicking. I love the design of this door panel. The steering wheel, much like the door panel, is a work of art. It is one of the few cues that remind you that you're in an SUV, being suitably utilitarian. The chiseled centerpiece with the Range Rover logo made out of metal, and bits of metal splashed about to accent the button clusters as well as the bottom spoke. The many buttons are ergonomically very well thought out and look modern and trendy. Sadly, although they give a very satisfying click, they don't feel as premium as some of its German rivals. The same goes for the paddle shifters for the fantastic 9-speed ZF automatic transmission. Great feedback, but made out of hard plastic. The stalks, on the other hand, are absolutely gorgeous. They look as though they belong in a Rolls-Royce. It is a mixture of smooth black plastic, clear white lettering, and chrome dividers. Absolutely stunning. Move your gaze upwards and you're rewarded with analog dials that can't be easier to read if it tried. I love its simplistic digits, and when the car is turned off, the speedometer has increments of 40 kilometers an hour instead of the regular 20. Quite an interesting quirk. Then there is the stunningly crisp, full-color driver's information display in between the two analog dials. It communicates trip information, fuel level, as well as oil temperature, among some other information as well. This driver's information display is controlled via the buttons to the right of the steering wheel. The beauty continues when you move your sights to the center console. I love its multi-tier design and the way that the stereo and climate controls move down in a slope. It reminds me of its bigger brother, the Range Rover Sport, and even the big-bodied Range Rover, as well as the previous generations of the Audi A8. Really nice. As always, I am very happy to see that there are physical buttons for the climate controls. Not only that, but the button arrangements in the center console has a beautiful symmetry to it. Great for people, like me, that love balance. The dials to the climate control has a thin strip of chrome which really adds to the air of quality. Helping out even more is the obligatory Jaguar Land Rover rotary gear selector that rises out from the center console. Really cool. The only thing that dates the cabin a bit is the paint that they chose for the buttons. It is a metallic grey and it makes it look a bit flimsy. Thankfully, they feel really sturdy. In fact, even though you can't really say that the build quality is quite up there with its German rivals, it is surprisingly close. The infotainment system takes pride of place in the center console, and let's not beat around the bush, it is awesome. It is really quick to respond to my touch. It is fast to load different menus. The graphics is crystal clear, and it is intuitive to use. Personally, I've always preferred infotainment systems that are controlled using a dial, like the ones you find on BMW and some Mercedes models. But the owner says she adores this touchscreen, and she loves how easy it is to operate. And I must agree, it is a great system. These seats are another part of the Evoque that really stands out from the crowd. They are wrapped in Napa leather and accented by grey top stitching. Not only are they supremely supportive in all the right places, they are also surprisingly comfortable. It's the design though that really stands out for me. It looks like bucket seats that belong in a Jaguar F-Type. I particularly like these little wings that protrude from where your shoulders are. A great piece of design. Things remain positive when you consider its storage solutions for the driver and front passenger. You have a huge, well-dampened glove box, two very deep cup holders that can be covered when not in use, a small space that is perfect for keys as well as coins because it is lined with a soft material, and a small but deep compartment underneath the center armrest. The armrest gives great resistance whether you want to access its compartment or move it forward or backward for extra driving comfort. That's not all though, as you have those previously mentioned door pockets. All in all, more than enough storage for an average person's clutter. Get in the back of this beauty and two things immediately stand out. One is the sheer amount of headroom. There isn't an abundance of it, but there is more than enough space for an average size adult male of 179 centimeters, and that is with a full panoramic sunroof and a sloping roofline. It's great. Knee room follows suit, and the seat, much like the pews found in front, is extremely supportive as well as comfortable. The outer rear seats are even fitted with Isofix child anchoring points. Storage solutions here in the back are also fantastic. You get two decently sized door pockets, storage nets behind each front seat, a small space underneath the center climate controls, as well as two cup holders hidden in the leather-wrapped center armrest. Very practical. The only downsides are that the window line is rather high and the windows actually quite small. Combine that with the black headliner and you have a rather dark and dingy area back here. Also, you can't really slide your feet underneath the front seats to really stretch out. The boot makes up for all this, as it is of a decent size at 475 litres and it has a nice square opening. That's just the tip of the iceberg, however, because you get 4 tethering hooks, 2 grocery hooks and even a 12-volt socket. Really practical. Then you notice that the rear seats fold almost completely flat in a 60-40 split to make way for a cavernous 1,445 litres. There is also no ridge to hinder through loading, nor a load lip to lift heavy things over. Marvellous. What is it like out on the road though? I must admit, considering the Evoque is part of the Range Rover family, I presumed that it would err on the side of comfort. But after sitting in these supremely comfortable seats and starting this powerful engine, I can immediately tell that this car is made to be fun and engaging. Driving the Evoque around town is really easy. Visibility is a bit limited, particularly at the back, but it does make up for it by having front and rear park distance control, as well as a reversing camera with excellent resolution. The Evoque is very maneuverable, with a tight turning circle, especially for an SUV with all-wheel drive. All the controls, particularly the steering, is nice and light. The engine is extremely strong, and even though there is a bit of turbo lag present, it is barely noticeable. The suspension does an excellent job of soaking up the bumps, even with those low-profile 20-inch wheels. The 9-speed ZF automatic transmission is perfectly mated to this engine. Now, 9 ratios might sound like a bit too much, but it does not hunt for gears, yet is extremely quick to respond, making for a near-perfect rush hour navigator. Out on the twisties, and I can tell that the boffins at JLR accidentally spilled some Jaguar into the Range Rover. The steering waitens up beautifully, and there is ample amount of grip thanks to wide tires and a fantastic all-wheel drive system. The only drawbacks are that there isn't much in the way of feedback when it comes to the steering, and there is quite a bit of body roll. Out on the open road, and this bite-sized Range Rover absolutely shines. The cabin is really well insulated from the outside world, with very little road noise and tire roar. The engine is not noticeable at speed, yet provides more than enough shove to overtake safely at highway speeds. There is a bit of wind whistle, particularly from the door mirrors, but there's nothing that the brilliant Meridian sound system can't drown out. Then there are the seats that provide endless support and comfort, making for a great long-distance cruiser. So happy to report that this Evoque is not just a very, very pretty face. It is a car worthy of the prestigious Range Rover moniker. Not only does it have a very strong engine and fantastic gearbox, it is also very comfortable. It has great road handling. It has comfortable seating for 4 and even 5 at a pinch, ample storage solutions, and a big boot. It is more than capable and pretty enough to risk those pesky unreliability rumors. I can't see why not. Well done, Range Rover. Thank you so much for watching another one of my videos. If you enjoyed it, remember to give this review a thumbs up, as it makes the world of difference to me. Also, if you haven't already, remember to subscribe to my channel for more reviews exactly like this one. I am growing every day, and I am so excited to see what the future holds for me. If you're interested in some behind the scenes footage, as well as a peek into my personal life, be sure to follow me on my social media platforms. Links in the description box below. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Until next time, bye.